Good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of the Aravaipa Rides podcast. I'm Race Director Aaron, and with me today is Quinton Jensen.
Hello.
Is the president of Arizona NICA, is that correct?
I'm actually the race director.
The race
of
director,
Arizona
sorry.
NICA. Yep.
So parody here, race directors talking to race directors here today.
Right.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Race director for NICA, Arizona.
Yep.
Let's talk a little bit about you first.
Sure.
So you mountain bike?
I do mountain bike.
All right.
Yep.
You're in the right spot then.
I am in the right spot.
How long have you been biking?
So I grew up on a BMX as a little kid.
Yep.
And my intro to mountain biking was on a Boy Scout camp when I was about 14 in Banff National Park in Canada.
Nice.
And so ever since then, I've kind of been like, this is something I want to really get into. And
Very good.
At least 25 years now.
Very nice. So that intro was on a mountain bike. They
It was
gave you
on
a
a
big
mountain
bike
bike.
and told you to ride?
Yep.
Okay.
The big, weird white helmet that
Sure.
we used to have. And Yep.
Excellent.
So,
Are you originally Canadian?
I am. I'm from Canada.
Okay.
So,
Very nice. Welcome
Yep.
to America.
Thank you. Yep. Only been here for a while.
Yeah. So you're biking 25 years.
Yep.
I grew up on the East Coast,
Awesome.
so I know Banff is obviously not the East Coast,
Yep.
but has similar in that it's roots, pine trees, it's foresty,
Yep.
not desert. That's what I'm
Not
trying
desert.
to say. Different type of riding whatsoever. How long did you ride up there before your transition?
So
down here?
it was on and off through high school. I had a teacher in high school that started a mountain bike club, so I did that for a year before I graduated, and then I actually served a church mission down here, and that's where I really got interested in it.
Gotcha.
I was on a bike every day,
Yep.
and so had opportunities to hit trails, and then ever since then it's just been nonstop as much as I can. So
if you had to rank them, do you like the root foresty, softer trails, or the rocky, hard
So I've
sandy trails?
lived everywhere. Like I've lived in Texas and Virginia and Utah as well.
Okay.
So personally, I like desert riding more. I just that wide open, the views. That's kind of I love it.
Then you found the right place.
I
to
am
settle.
in definitely the right spot.
Very good.
So
You've got a family, you've got kids?
I do. I have a wife and 3 kids.
And they ride?
Pretty much. My 12-year-old daughter is the one that pushes back the most, but she still rides.
Okay.
My oldest son is 17 and races. He's been racing NICA since he was in 6th grade.
Excellent.
I think he's been racing since he was about 7 or 8.
Okay.
And then I have a 9-year-old that hasn't raced yet, but he rides.
Very nice.
That's what he wants to do, and I'm happy. I'm fine with that.
Sure.
So.
And your wife?
She'll ride if the weather's nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair weather rider.
There's very much a season. So
Fair enough. Perfect. And what about, do you race at all?
I'm more of like that dirty little fun haver. I've actually done Aravaipa races, the 6 hours and stuff. But I haven't done too much. I enjoy getting out and riding and being out. So
yeah, no, I knew the answer to that one. I guess that was more for the audience listening. But I have to feel I throw a little bit of myself in there too. I did my first race actually for real just a few weeks ago up in Flagstaff at
awesome.
Bear Jaw. My first race officially would have been 2020, which of course was wiped out. So I took a few years to decide if I wanted to actually sign up for a race or not a second. But I'm kind of like you. Like I kind of like just to point the wheel out the door
Just
and go for a ride. More than
my son's really big in he's done the 6 hours. He's done 24 hours of Old Pueblo.
Okay.
And I really enjoy being like the bike support or the camp dad or whatever.
Yep.
That part's super fun.
Yeah.
So, but I've been around racing for quite a while.
Cool.
So
very cool. Yeah, I think I'm not saying I'll never do them again, but I'm not going to be racing every weekend.
No,
for sure.
Yeah.
I do like to have just like the ride time. I think more so than always thinking about the next race or the next competition. Sure. All right. So your family rides. What do you do? I was going to ask you too. What's your career like? Outside of biking.
I'm in construction, so I manage a company where we do outdoor living. So patio covers, gates, kitchens, that stuff. That's kind of my niche.
Okay.
So,
very nice.
Yeah.
Keeps you outside.
It keeps me outside.
You can ride bikes.
And that as soon as work's over, we try to do that as well. So.
Awesome. All right. Well, we wanted to really get to know NICA and the organization that it is, it's obviously not just Arizona. It's pretty much nationwide. I
Yeah,
don't know if
so
it's
there's
every state, but
there's
pretty
35.
close.
I believe it's 35 states
Okay.
that have
an
a
official
league.
charter.
Yeah.
Yep.
So really awesome.
So tell us a little bit about NICA. What are they about, just in generally the broad scope of them?
Yeah. So NICA it gives a place for kids to one race, but also, be able to be outdoors and just give them more of a place to be. Like we have Trail Corps where we're helping build and maintain trails.
Okay.
So we're giving back to the community as much as we can.
Absolutely.
It just gives them a place to be that's not, for me, not in your face.
Right.
Like just be out, enjoy,
Yeah.
give back, and help our communities.
Yeah, I love the give back option. Teach them young, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Speaking of that, what is the age range for? Is it a junior high?
Yeah, so NICA starts in 6th grade up to seniors.
Okay.
So that, unfortunately we don't do the younger, but it's a big range of kids to get out. So.
Absolutely. And it's the development, the big part of the development age of kids too, where like they are stretching themselves, right? They're stretching their personality and stuff like that. Athletic wise, they're growing in that sense too. So probably a good way to capture them and point them in a direction, just like any other youth organization. Captures them, gives them something to do. But is at that age where it's a formidable learning experience too.
Yeah, and they're learning, and they're actually, like you said, like it's great fundamental time in their lives to, create something and stick with it.
Does every NICA is it chapter?
Yeah, or league.
Does every NICA league throw races as well as do the behind the scenes stuff?
Yeah. So what I understand is when they got started, well over a decade ago, it started in California, and it was getting kids on bikes.
Sure.
And then the races started, and so every league does races.
Okay.
But there's just a lot more to it. Like we have, when you had Jen on with the Grit girls riding together. Like I said, we have our Trail Corps. A lot of it is just there's so much more than the races. Sure. I feel like, but races are a good portion of it as well.
Very cool. Do you pair with existing Trail Alliance groups, or do you just kind of go out on your own?
No, we love getting the communities involved. West Valley right now, they're a great supporter.
Sure.
Hausaholics and the Haus Trail Alliance are also, they're really amped to trying to get as much as we can with them. So
very good.
Yeah.
And I know it's getting, for Arizona anyway, it's getting into trail building and trail maintaining season now that it's getting a little cooler. So we'll have some more weekends out there. I know I've seen Brian and Sean both, as well as Chris, Tonto Gravity Riders, starting to post weekends coming up where they'll be doing certain sections or certain trails or whatnot. Yeah. So time to get back. That's great. Do you do? Is it compulsory for the kids? Do they have to do so many hours, or they just kind of volunteer?
Yeah, it's totally volunteer.
Okay.
So depending on where location and stuff, we've had as many as 30, 40 so far last year when we were down in Tucson for one of our races. Sometimes it's a little less. Just it's so hard to get stuff on the calendar, but so far it's been really good. So mainly it's 20 to 30 kids. Yeah. So far.
I imagine again with that age group, there's maybe soccer or siblings in soccer or gymnastics or every other thing that's pulling parents in different directions. So when it's not a practice or any kind of official NICA group organization, getting them to get out there, it's like, oh, we've got to move kids from one side of the valley to the other too.
All the way over here.
There's that too. So you've got the trail work. What other kinds of non-race activities do you have for the kids who want to sign up?
Yeah, so like last year we did last year was our first year, so we're still trying to build all of our events and things that we want to do. But this year we're really focusing on, we have our Trail Corp, Youth Trail Corps. We have a youth council this year, which, we look to them for ideas as well.
Yep.
Super exciting. We have what we call the Mom Squad.
Okay.
So we're getting the moms, trying to get moms and those involved as much as we can too.
Yep.
So right now, like we're still building a lot out, but those are our big ones. Is Grit, Trail Corps, the races.
Sure.
Trying to do some adventure activities as well.
Okay.
Stuff like that. So
I was just going to ask if there's any non-biking activities that you sponsor or host, kind of thing, to get kids out there, just to the bonding part.
Right. Yeah. It's with the adventure, it's not necessarily all about riding and going and doing stuff. We had our Adventure Fest last year where we had, just games in the middle where kids could do, just silly stuff, just hanging out. But, there is bikes in the background, of course. But
Somewhere.
There's always a bike, yeah.
Gotcha. All right. So I guess racing would be the next component then, outside of the non-racing stuff. So you did 5 races last year?
We did 4 races.
4 races last year. Okay. Any plans to do add-on, or is it going to be
We
4?
are. So this year we are doing 5.
Okay.
So our goal this year was to bring one new venue in.
Okay.
And that's the goal every year, is we want a new venue that's either never been raced or that hasn't been raced in a long time. So last year we brought in Old Tucson Studios, which was super fun. We're going back there again.
Excellent.
That'll actually be our state championship will be at Old Tucson.
That's great.
But yeah, this year we're doing White Tank again.
Okay.
And then we're having 2 races at McDowell.
Okay.
So we'll have a short track race and then our standard race. So it'll be a Friday, Saturday race.
Oh, very nice.
Weekend. So
okay.
Yeah. So 5 races. Our second race of the season, I should have brought this one first, but it's actually at Peralta Regional Park. So they've never even had an event. They just opened last year.
Right.
So we're super excited.
Okay.
Pinell County is really excited.
Yep.
So I don't know if you've been out there, but
I have yet.
Super
I haven't
beautiful.
Yet. Is it?
Yeah.
I was going to ask. So you have?
Oh yeah.
How are the trails?
They're new.
Sure.
So they feel new.
Yep.
They need some work, but it's just awesome out there. You feel like you're out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And it's, from my house in Queen Creek, it's only like a 40-minute drive.
Sure.
So it's not way crazy, but the views are just awesome. Like you just feel like you're out in the middle of nowhere without being that far.
Okay. So you jumped ahead and then jumped back. So start over again. So let's go in order.
I'm really out there.
It'll help me too.
So White Tanks.
My head. Okay.
Or White Tank. Peralta.
Okay.
And then we have our 2 races at McDowell, and then it'll be Old Tucson Studios in Tucson.
And still January to May somewhere.
Yeah. So we're starting in January, and we should be done by the end of March.
Okay.
Actually.
End of March. Oh, so it's quick.
Yeah. So we're a little more condensed than last year. We're spread out.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Gotcha. Which venue are you looking forward to going back to that you've done already?
Old Tucson just has so much.
Okay.
They're actually opening up more of the studio part of it for us, so we may have some fun stuff that we get to do there.
Nice.
I just felt like there's so much more we can do there. So I'm hoping we can, get into that a little bit more.
Would that be more like race type activities?
Yeah. Actually, where they do a lot of the filming, we're working with them to try to ride through like the old West town and stuff like that. So bring a little bit more of that,
the experience to the whole thing. Yeah.
So I'm really excited about that. So
very nice.
Yeah.
And then Peralta is your new one.
Peralta's
as you were just saying.
Yep.
Is that still kind of a work in progress? What can you tell us about to give us a preview of the?
So we've had some meetings. We're still, we've got the race loops kind of dialed in. We're going to have some trail days out there actually coming up in, I believe, in November or beginning of December will be when our first ones are.
Gotcha.
But it's just new. It's fun. Just, if anyone's listening to this and wanting to go out, I highly recommend going out. It's just a fun place. It's new and needs to be ridden.
Gotcha. What can they expect? A lot of climbing.
There's a bit of climbing. There's actually some technical stuff out there that you wouldn't think. It's a hard one. It's just different because it's Pinell and it's not quite as groomed as what we get in Maricopa.
Sure.
Yep. It's definitely single track.
Okay.
But there is some really rocky, techy spots intermingled with some of the trails. So I don't know if there's anything here that I would say it probably White Tank, if anything, and maybe a little bit of Tucson as well. Okay. If you've ridden down there. Yeah. So that's where I would say it's kind of a mix of that.
Gotcha. And since it is new, and I know newer venues tend to cut their trails a little bit more biking in mind, I don't want to exclude any of our other trail users out there, but a bike trail and just a trail are two different things.
Yeah.
Are they kind of cut in towards biking favorably, or no?
So
they're pretty flat turns.
It's super flat turns.
Okay.
I actually think horses were more involved in mind when they were doing it, or hikers.
Sure.
But Pinnell has just been awesome to work with so far. So they're totally, feel like they're really open to, developing more into that. So, but yeah, I mean, I've been out there, I don't know how many times now, but it seems like every time I go out, the trails are a little more broken and not as, flat as they were the first time I went out.
Sure.
So.
All right. Well, everyone listening, I guess, has to take a ride out there.
You need to go ride it.
Take a Saturday or Sunday and get out there. I'll have to do it myself. So, hey, I'll have to do it and maybe look for my own, my own new venue, new race sometime coming up. So, excellent. Definitely excited to see it. If I don't make it out, and hopefully, can get out for the race itself when you hold it, so we can see it at least that point. And
we would love to have you out there.
But always looking for new things. All right. So races, you've got 5 this year. That's fantastic. Do you want to talk about the future at all, or is that something that's not? I mean, you said introducing new ones. Do you have future plans beyond?
Yeah, I mean, right now we're really just looking. We've started looking outside of the box from what Arizona's done. I feel like I said, I've kind of lived all over,
right?
So I use that as an opportunity to learn what other places have done.
Sure.
So we've been everywhere from Payson to up near Flag, and I'm really looking at places that just haven't had anything before. Just one, we want to bring more to communities as well.
Yep.
So I'm not really worried. I mean, we have so much awesome riding here already.
Right.
But we'd love to get more communities involved that maybe have never seen this before.
Okay.
So I won't spill the beans on where I've been, because we've done that, but we've been to a lot of places that potentially could have awesome riding. It just needs to be found.
Gotcha.
So
gotcha. Keep it under your hat.
Yeah, we want surprises every year, right? So
yep. No, I get it. I think I think that part. I mean, you've got a career outside of race directing.
Yep.
I work outside of race directing as well. The fun part about this job is to be able to sit down, maybe sit down first, like look at a couple of maps, look online, whatever, and kind of look where trails are and how can you make into a loop, and then taking that field trip.
Yes.
Take the kids out if you need to, or take some, call some friends and say, hey, we're going to go check this out, and then ride a couple circles around the park or the space or whatever like that. It does. It makes the job that much more fun. Yeah. Race days are awesome.
Race days are fun.
I don't think you can complain.
Yeah.
I mean, it's when everything comes together, and it's when everything can fall apart too.
Yes.
But at the same time, it's when everything comes together. And to
see all of the work before, that's what makes it worth it. Is if I could just do race day, that would be like optimum. But there's a lot more that goes behind the scenes. So
and I think getting back to it, that pre-planning, when you just have an idea, a seed, somebody maybe told you about it, you just happen to see it when you were looking on different maps, whatever. I've probably had it happen a number of different times myself, where I get lost, like continuing to scroll, like westward. Where does this go? Where does this go? Okay, can I loop it back around?
Yeah, where am I at now?
How do I? Yeah, exactly. Zoom in, zoom out. Okay, it makes for some lost hours, that's for sure. But it's definitely a fun part of the job.
Yeah. Well, and it's awesome too. Like I'm really big on involving as many people in that as I can.
Yeah.
Because like you said, you're scrolling and you see this loop, you get so focused in on that.
Yep.
And then someone goes, "Oh, what if you just did this?" And you're like, "Oh, I didn't even look at that."
Right.
And that's way better. So there's, I have 4 or 5 people that I'll go do exactly what you said. Like I'll look at it, and I'll work around and ride it, and then I'll invite others.
Yeah.
Okay, like we need to work on this. What do we do?
Right.
Because even though as race director, like I don't have all the answers.
Oh, exactly.
Right. So it's like there's
team.
And there's people that have been riding or racing and know what works better than even I do.
Yep.
And like we have an awesome core group with AZ NICA. And so it's super fun to. Like, this is what I found. What do you guys think? And some of them have been totally stomped out and said, nope, it doesn't work. And like, that's fine.
Yep.
I got to go ride it, and it was fun for me. You
Yeah.
know? So, but yeah, I think that's just as much of it as doing it all on your own.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep. I think one of the things I found too coming into it is that there's a big difference between racing and riding.
Yes.
And you were just sort of hitting on it a little bit there, where you might go out and do this incredible loop, and it's a great ride.
Yeah.
But someone who's a really experienced racer knows what they want out of a race course will come in and tear it all apart.
Yeah, totally.
And tell you, like, this is wrong, you can't do this,
Yeah.
this happens, and that kind of stuff. And you're like, but I rode it last Saturday.
Yeah,
it was great.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So it's a different, the whole like paper to ride to race.
Right.
It's not just a ABC process. Right?
No, yeah. And then even with, so like one of the things with NICA, because it's all youth based.
Right.
So you know, and being the type of rider I am, sometimes you forget that, you have sixth graders or even sophomores or juniors that have never really ridden off pavement before.
Yep.
So you have to take that into account. And it's the same thing. You're like, oh, this was amazing.
Right.
And then someone goes like, my teeth just chattered out. I can't, this is not possible for a young kid. And you're like, oh yeah, I didn't think of that, you know? So, okay, how do we change that up or make it safe for them?
Yeah.
You
have a lot of safety measures that are like installed before anything happens, correct?
Yeah. Which is awesome. Yeah.
And not just like safety falling off of a bike, but safety of just kids in general.
Yep.
I presume, right?
Yeah, like even our coaches have to have background checks and all that stuff. So there's lots, which is great.
Yep.
So it just takes the the stress from as a parent out of that.
Yep.
So
as a parent, not being you since you're already involved, but say as a parent who might be listening to this or that kind of thing, how can they get their kids involved? What's the way to find you?
So we have our website. It's arizonamtb.org. And on there we have a link that says, find a team. And we have roughly, I think we're up to 18 or 19 teams around Arizona right now.
Okay.
And we're always trying to build more. Right now I know we have 2 or 3 that we're looking at trying to get started, helping local parents. A lot of times it's the parents that take charge and want to get something going. And we definitely, we want to back them 100% and help them succeed in that, because it's an undertaking to have a team just as much as it is to be a race director, so probably even more, honestly.
I can imagine, right? Because it's more volunteer. I mean, it's really they're being voluntold versus you chose you chose to step into the role that you're right.
So well, and us, like there's we get some office work before, and we're go ride a trail here and there, and then race days are a big finale and hurrah, but the coaches is where it's really at. They're, like our team, we're on Foundry Composite out in Queen Creek.
Yep.
I mean, they have practices 3 times a week. We just had our parents meeting yesterday.
Okay.
There's so much the coaches do that is really not seen or thought about. So I would even say like that for me, outside the kids, like the coaches, none of this happens. Like I can put on the most amazing race, but without amazing coaches and parents, like there's no point.
There's a lot of dedication week in and week out to have these touch points, these races or team meetings or social gatherings. Again, team bonding is just as important as the athletics part of it. The teams, so I'm familiar with Foundry. Teams are not necessarily school-based, right?
No.
They could be geography-based or that type of thing too, but they could be school-based as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So we do have quite a few that are school-based.
Yep.
And then, wherever we don't have a school that wants to be involved, that's when we have what we call a composite team, where it's just it's an area.
Yep.
And we're able to have a place for all those kids to go.
Sure.
So.
Excellent. And do you have, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there's sort of like not divisions, but sort of like there's like a north-south or east and west kind of groupings?
So right now we have between 200 and 250 kids. So we don't, we're all grouped together.
Okay.
We do have divisions. So if your team's larger, you'll be in a different division than a smaller team, just so that because we do score kids individually, but then we also do the teams.
Right.
So it makes it fair for the teams to have a chance to win that. So
And I asked Jen this when she was on a few weeks ago for the girls. I presume it's kind of similar, but if back to the parents and finding out about you guys, do you have kind of like open calls or like a meet and greet kind of thing where kids can come out and check it out? Maybe go on a bike for the first time, a short ride or something like that, where they can, do I want this? It's kind of like, do I want to play the tuba? No, I don't. I tried it out and I decided I want guitar.
Right. Yeah. I'd rather the drums or whatever.
Basketball in this case, it's mountain biking or basketball.
So we had 2 tried out events this last month, and then we did a fun ride just a couple weeks ago.
Gotcha.
And then we do have another fun ride in Tucson. I believe it's the 16th of August. October. I'm getting my months mixed up.
No worries.
But I believe it's that weekend. But it's all on the website.
Okay.
So, but yeah, it's and that the cool thing is Trek donated us a bunch of bikes. I think Jen mentioned that.
She did say, yeah.
Which is so cool because now these kids that, there was a couple kids that came out. They came out to every event. Like they were from East Valley and they came all the way to White Tanks when we had our event out there.
Yep.
And then they came to the fun ride and they, totally hooked. Don't own a bike.
Yeah.
But just the ability to, borrow a bike from the league and try it out.
Yep.
Like it's such a game changer. Like it's so awesome that Trek is willing to step up like that and give opportunities.
That's a great. It's a great deal and good for them on that.
Yeah, totally.
Start populating your Christmas list with Treks later on after they've ridden it a couple of times, right?
Yep.
Do the different state leagues compete against each other? Is there any, like you have a championship for the Arizona
Yes,
League.
we have a state.
Is there any kind of thing where you kind of go and race against Utah, or does Utah, do they ever bring a team down to yours?
They don't. So we have a couple cool things happening this year. The East Coast team states are doing a regional, like a East, I don't even know what the East region or East Coast, where they're doing a championship race or an event.
Yeah.
There's nothing in the West happening yet.
Okay.
But we do, I believe it's with Wisconsin. We did something where they're able to bring, they did a drawing or whatever, and they're bringing one of their student athletes down to our state championship where they can either race or at least do the pre-ride and the fun ride during the race.
Almost like an student exchange?
Yeah. So we had someone in Tucson that was willing to donate the use of their house down there for the weekend or week or whatever it is. And so it's really cool that, someone from the east side of the country can come out and see what we do here and vice versa. So
and so you are sending someone up?
I don't know if we're sending one this year, but that is what
goal.
We would like to do.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And I picked on Utah a minute ago only because I'm quite 99.9% sure there is a NICA Utah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the only reason why I called them
the
out.
biggest one in the nation.
Is it? Okay.
Yes.
So I picked it on the right one.
You did. Yeah.
Do we have them? So other surrounding states, California?
Yeah. So California has a
must.
north and a south
league.
So they actually have 2 leagues in California.
Okay. And then what about Colorado, New Mexico?
Colorado doesn't. New Mexico started the same time we did. So they have their own league as well. Nevada, I believe, has 2 leagues.
I forgot Nevada. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
And then Utah has. So Utah's really cool because they're just massive. They have they have 7,000 kids that participate there. So.
Well, they have a few mountains, I guess.
They have a couple mountains.
Yeah.
Yep.
Excellent.
But so those are the surrounding ones that all.
Would that be something in the future that you would like to put on the?
I would love to
get like a regional.
Competition. So that's kind of how I got my start with the racing. Is we lived up in St. George.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Hey, we need race crew members," and I was like, "That would be cool."
Yeah.
We started NICA. A little more background. We started racing NICA in Virginia.
Okay.
And so when my job moved us back to Utah, we were doing it, and I was just going on signing up as a coach, and in there they said, "Hey, we're looking for race crew," and so I was like, "Yeah, I'll help," and they're like, "Hey, we need help in parking," so that's where I got started.
Yep.
But it was just awesome. They have so much there, and then I was able to come down here, and when this league started, they're like, "We need help," and I was like, "Well, I've been helping. I'd love to continue." And so. So,
is Utah's is it large? And this is kind of way going. I mean, we're supposed to be talking about you in Arizona, but I'll ask because we got there. Is it large due to just length of time they've been doing it? They've had the time to
I think so. This is
build.
like their 12th season.
Okay.
And I think Arizona's we could do the same thing here.
Sure.
But it's just, there's so much community support.
Okay.
And as we, like this is our second season.
Right.
We're seeing more support from the community. So I think as we continue to build this up, we'll have that opportunity. It's just more that we can reach out to the kids and stuff. We'll have more show up. So.
Awesome. Yeah. I didn't ask you about this at the very beginning. Your riding versus racing, we talked about that a little bit, but what's your favorite? Like, what do you like to get out and ride?
So down here, it's like, I like the Haas area.
Okay.
And South Mountain's fun too. It's further for me.
Yep.
But Haas is just fun. I'm super slow on the climbs, but I love getting a reward at the end.
Oh yeah.
So it's totally fits what I like to do. So
you might be the guy I'm looking for. The reason why I was late to this podcast to meet with you. The meeting I was in was just redesigning some of the trails for one of our courses over there in November, and just getting some sign off on those reroutes.
Okay.
Maybe I'll have to send you the link and tell me what you think.
Yeah.
You're not doing anything later.
No, you never know. Yeah.
Awesome. So let's see. We're back to NICA. Where did we leave off? Talking about Utah, actually. So let's see. Back to Arizona. We've got how they can. Did you give us the dates when they can? One of the meet and greets.
So the next one we have at a league level is in October in Tucson.
Okay.
The student registration opens in a couple weeks.
Okay.
And so the teams are just now starting to, they'll have their own meetings and just see what interest is out there. So get you interested, tell you about what the team's about, what NICA's about.
Sure.
And get you going. So those will be happening. Like I said, go on our website. Yeah. You can find a team in your location or your area and then reach out to the coaches. All that information's there.
Very cool.
So
they do register every year, just like you would, again, basketball or something like that, another more traditional sport.
Yep.
Do they automatically get placed on the same team? Is it if there's say a school within their region, maybe there's also a composite within their region, is there a choice or they get placed?
If it's school based, if you go to that school, you'll just automatically go on that team.
Okay.
Yeah. If not, then you'll be on that composite team.
Gotcha. And teams that can you request, like if you know a team that's really competitive, maybe you sat out last year because you weren't really sure you wanted to join, and you watched the teams as they went through the season, can you ask to be placed on one if you feel like, or maybe can demonstrate your prowess on the bike? And
so the teams aren't really made to do that. So we really want you to be in the area with the kids that you're in. As much fun as it is to have a super competitive team, it's and being a race director, you think I'd be really into that, but it's more about just kids having fun.
Yeah.
Our team, we have 40 to 50 kids, I think, on our team.
Okay.
And it's the funnest times are when the older, faster kids are hanging out with the younger kids, teaching them skills or whatever.
Nice.
So it's really not, you can request, but chances are we're going to be like, hey, just hang out with your team and help them grow.
Love it. No, that's perfect. Perfect. Because I ask because in a lot of sports it is that way. You can get on a competitive. You can ask. You can whatever it is. Your parents can write a letter or whatever kind of thing.
Yeah.
And they are obviously most sports, most leagues, they are trying to form you want a team that competes, right? So if you know this kid over here is a really good ball player, you're going to want to sign him onto it. If there's nothing that says that he can't jump this boundary,
right,
we'll get him on the team. So no, I love it. Mountain biking, and I think trail sports in general, obviously there's competition. Everyone wants to do well. Fast guys want to be fast. Slower ones that are just there to compete.
You just want to have fun.
They're going to have fun and they're going to compete. But there's so much more community, I think, orientation for all the trail sports. I mean, there seems to be. I mean, I hike, I run as well too. I don't know much about the equestrian side of things. Just speaking to trail users.
Right. Yeah.
But I know all of those groups are so community focused. Organized groups.
Right.
When you have organized groups, they're not just here to just meet up on Saturday and go for a hike, go for a ride. They do behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, there's so much.
They do some sort of a trail work, or they hold a fundraiser just to give to a trail alliance if they don't want to physically do the work. Yeah. So. You don't see that so much in the traditional sports.
No, and that's the cool thing. That's one of the reasons I've really, I grew up playing football, and had aspirations of going to college to play and really push towards that.
Yeah.
But I'm so grateful I'm more into this than ever because at the end of the day, when the race season's over, you're not done your sport. Like you can still go ride. Like you said, you can volunteer to help fix trails.
Yeah.
There's so much more community involvement than, you go put your basketball shoes on, play for your season, then you're done.
Yeah.
And you're waiting for the next season to come.
Yeah.
And, for kids, the best part for me, the reason I even said I'd be race director is like with the kids, it's just fun watching them race,
Yeah.
It's one of and I'm sure running's the same, but like it's one of the sports where there's no rivalry.
Right.
Like I've been to tons of races where, the very last kid to come off course has all the teams cheering him or her coming down the finish line, and that's, for me, that's what it's about. It's that community cheering everyone on, not just, hey, I won, we're the best.
Right.
But it's, you completed, you finished, you did something hard, you're amazing, and that's what it's about for me. As much as the racing is so much fun and I enjoy watching and being a part of it, but it's that, or like one of my favorite moments from last year was we have a brand new team in Benson, which is just southeast of Tucson.
Okay.
One of the girls there, I don't think she podiumed until the third race, and she won.
Okay.
And it was such an emotional thing. Like, it was emotional for me because I've gone to, like, one of the things I try to do is go to practices with all the different teams.
Okay.
So I'd gotten to know her a little bit, and just to see her, accomplish something that she didn't think she would do was so awesome. You know, so it's just like, it's so much fun to see that kind of stuff.
Yep.
Or the kid that gets a flat and it's like, I'm finishing this race, and he walks the whole thing.
Right.
So it's more of that, or just as much that as anything else.
Yeah.
And I think everyone gets that in this. Same with running. It's you finished, you did this hard thing.
Yeah.
But
then you stick around and you
cheer
everyone else.
Cheer everyone else.
To your point, you made the comment of the last person coming in is, but it's those first guys and girls who finish, and they could roll out. They could finish refueling and hop in their cars and go
just
away.
Go on and do on.
But they don't. They hang out, and they hang out for those last people, and they cheer them on, and it's amazing. Myself being kind of a mid-packer, whether it's running or riding, I'm not ever in the front.
Right.
But to come through, an hour after the finishers and see those finishers sitting there, clapping you on and cheering for every last person coming through is definitely a cool thing that once I got into the, this side of life, it was pretty neat to see.
Yeah, totally. Love it.
Coaches. So I wanted to know about coaches, but also adults in general. So we talked about kids. Like you got into it before your kids were into it in Utah.
Yeah.
You're helping out. There's a guy or a gal out there listening who says, wow, that kind of is fun. I like riding too. I don't have kids, or maybe my kids are too young to join just yet, but how can I get involved? Is it obviously the website, I guess, is the same,
website. That's probably the easiest just because there's so many links to get on. But I mean, on our team alone, like, we have tons of coaches that don't have kids on it, and they're just there to support. And it's it's that whole community thing again. So check out the website. As a race director, you're always looking for help on the race side of it. We're looking for that too.
Yep. Coaches and parking.
Parking is crazy, but no, but I mean, whether you want to get involved at the team level or higher, like, there's always stuff open for, we're always looking for people to help.
Yeah.
So
excellent. So what about NICA haven't we touched on? Is there?
Oh, I don't know.
I mean, I know the premise, and you mentioned the basic premise, I guess, founding was getting more kids on bikes. It's kind of evolved, obviously, out of that a little bit. Obviously, the basic thing is still there, is to get kids on bikes and get them out riding. They don't have to participate in every race. It's about being part of the community again, and just having friends your age or close in age group that you can grow up with, model this behavior on. And
it's really a safe place for all kids to go.
Sure.
Unlike a traditional sport where you're going to be competing against kids only your age. This practice is it's from 6th grade to 12th grade. You're all there.
Right.
You might be broken up into groups, but with our team, like we start and finish together.
Okay.
All of them, you know? And so I think that's the cool thing is, you know, the younger kids can have someone to look up to that, you know, they can touch and feel, and they're right there, and they're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, and it's really fun to watch the kids that, you know, are starting out and moving up to the faster groups and eventually even catching those kids.
Sure.
That they, you know, 2 years ago were looking at going, oh, he's so fast, I'll never get there.
Right. Yeah.
So I think it's more that it's not even just more kids on bikes, but it's a safe place for everyone. You know, like I said, like our coaches do a background check.
Sure.
Like what other? I mean, I'm sure more and more sports are doing that.
Yeah.
And it's you know, the safety. You know, every coach is given an opportunity to have training on like concussion protocol or first aid.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just one of those things like we were able to provide, not even just for the kids, but like parents to know like, hey, this is what needs to happen, or know your kid's taken care of, because you have to have so many people that are certified first aid on a team or whatever, you know. So it's not even, you know, there really no questions if the kid's going to be safe or not, or anything like that.
Yep. No, that's excellent. I'm sure it's I don't know, the word's escaping right now, but I'm sure for parents it's a great feeling to be able to know that. But I think probably on top of it, if maybe they don't want to volunteer in like the coaching or something that's really like hands-on, they could just get first aid trained.
Yeah, they could totally do that.
They could be one of those people.
Yeah.
And you know, they probably would be attending practice, you know, 9 out of 10 times anyway. This gives them another reason to be there because they're that person that you know, might be called on when a kid goes down. Yeah.
Well, and there's so much that goes on, you know, with any sport really that's behind the scenes.
Right.
You know, like if you're not into riding, like they still need help on race day, like, you know, making sure kids are going to the right places or they don't miss call-ups, or you know, they have support at the finish line when they come through, or they get handed a water bottle or in the feed zone or whatever. You know, like there's so much a parent can do that's not just riding your bike. You know?
Yep.
So,
yeah, I imagine, again, seeing it from my perspective as a director too, just getting people to the start line. Adults are really no different.
No. Yeah,
when you're calling the 6 hour,
or you're 26. Yeah, it's all the same.
Need to get up here now.
Yeah.
Time to go for the briefing, and then we're going to send you out. You can't just show up 3 seconds before, and kids can be, you know, so more easily distracted, I think, than adults.
Sure.
But not any more easier to corral.
No, I can imagine. Yeah.
Mom's Brigade.
Yes. Mom Squad.
Mom Squad. Excuse me. Smaller than a brigade squad.
Right. We'll get to brigades.
We're going to grow a little bit. So talk a little bit more about how the moms can be involved, the ones who and they're dads who don't ride, I presume, too.
So Mom Squad just came. We just created this within the last couple months.
Okay.
We just, you know, we have coaches that ride.
Yep.
We have, you know, moms that I feel like a lot of times too, like dads get really involved in this.
Sure.
So, you know, Jen, our league director, was really wanting something where the moms and aunts and older sisters or whatever it is have a place that they can do. So, like, they had their first event about a month ago, and they made flower arrangements. Okay. So it had nothing to do with mountain bikes other than, you know, I think they had a little thing on there that had a bike on it. But
sure,
it's just a place where, you know, like we want everyone to be involved.
Right.
In the community, and it gives them a chance to have that.
Cool.
So,
what do you envision that squad becoming? You don't need flower arrangements for every race. So.
I think it could go so much. I mean, you think about it, the moms are the ones that are usually, I mean, even as a race director, the moms are the ones that are organized.
Right.
You know, like sometimes I feel like I'm just at race day, I'm just running around with my pants on fire sometimes, but they, you know, my experience has been they're the ones that make sure the kids are fed. They're the ones that are doing all this extra and I, you know, building the community. Like it's parents, but you know, it's the wives and the moms that are talking to other moms and saying, hey, my kid never wanted to play sports, and they're doing this mountain bike thing, and they love it, you know, and hey, I actually get to be a part of this community too. We do this, you know, and I think it's just a chance that it gets the whole family more involved than, hey, my kid goes to practice and I pick him out at the end.
Right.
So
consider it a feeder program for more women on bikes too.
I think so.
Yeah, I think Jen should get involved and like kind of obviously, you know, grits for the youth, but kind of do some sort of a 18 plus grit. So that if mom wants to try a bike, we bring one of those treks over for her to go out on a ride.
They just did I believe they had their first ride on Saturday actually at Santan.
Okay.
So
very nice.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So
whole family, the whole community.
Yep.
I mean, just going back to that statement you said, it resonates with me, how getting the communities involved when you're talking about, you know, different places to ride.
Yeah.
Showcasing more of these communities, like bringing an event to a community that you said, you know, isn't getting one for whatever reason, bringing more people to that community so that the people get to see the community, racers, moms and dads, everything like that. The community gets to experience this event that they maybe have never seen if they're not into it. I mean, you might have a guy who rides or a gal who rides, but they're just going out riding or, you know, watching YouTube videos or something like that too. But to then have a race come into their town is a completely different thing. I think that's just fantastic. It's just a great way to keep the sport fresh.
Yeah, totally.
Keep it alive. Keep new eyes on it all the time. You know, obviously, like once in a while, you'll get somebody who, you know, a kid will come out. Hey, how do I join? I didn't even know this was around, kind of thing too. So it's a bit of a recruiting thing without it really being an active recruiting thing.
Yep.
But I think, you know, just the ability to get in front of new people all the time, whether it's your existing teams getting into that new venue or the venue, seeing all these people come in and like seeing this, holy cow, you know, this goes on in other parts of the state or other parts of the world, or didn't even know this existed. You know, I thought bikes were just for getting from point A to point B.
Right. Well, and that happened. I mean, Arizona is a big cycling community here in Arizona.
Yep.
You know, and that still happens today. Like we have, like I said, we have a team in Benson, which is a really small town.
Sure.
And I mean, I think when they first started, they had just, you know, half a dozen kids, and I think they ended with 15 or 20 by the end of the season. Like, it just seems like more and more kids are like, this is cool, let's do this.
Yep.
You know, so it's exactly what you said. Like, there's a lot of places that you would like never think that have anything to do with cycling, that once they hear it, it's like it really grows.
Sure.
You know, so.
Yep. Let me ask you something, race director to race director, since we're on the subject. Arizona, the Southwest, you said it earlier, lots of biking.
Yes.
You just said now there's a lot of cycling for sure.
Yeah.
But I think mountain biking specifically, I mean, there's areas that, you know, I'm sure I know I've never been to that are probably hot spots that if I, you know, went to this, you know, little park or this little area that I've just never been to that corner of the state. Probably the same for you.
Lots of places I want to go.
Why, in your opinion, do you feel that we're a little bit underrated on the world stage or the U.S. stage? I mean, we have Sedona, right? Sedona is this amazing place. Mountain bikers around here will talk about it endlessly. If that's your kind of riding, if you really like that, you know, that obviously a different type of ride too. We have South Mountain. We have the regional parks around here and stuff like that. South Mountain, I think, has a bit of a draw, you know, outside the region. It's got, you know, there's people that you might talk to definitely around the state, maybe outside the state, who have come in and done stuff like that. But do you feel, in your opinion, that Arizona's kind of overlooked outside, like in the grander scale?
I do.
Okay.
I think so. Like you said, we have like these couple little draws of like you said, Sedona or South Mountain. Haas is really starting to become a little more hot.
Yep.
But like what like the Tano gravity riders are doing out in there, like in Globe and stuff, like they got awesome stuff going. And I would even say like one of the places, I haven't ridden it as much as I want to, but like Mount Lemmon has amazing riding.
Right.
And you know, the more and more I look at it, like people are even saying like some of the trails there are better than like what you see in Moab.
Okay.
Really, like the whole enchilada style of a ride you have right here, like in 2 hours
just
from
2
here.
hours away.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and then I know, I have a friend, Steve, that lives up in Sedona.
Okay.
He's always talking about like the Grand Canyon, the riding up there. There's so much more up there that.
Okay.
I'm not quite sure. I know he just did a big ride, like up Flagstaff and up into
Gotcha.
The north rim of the Grand Canyon.
Okay.
So
he hikes through the canyon with it then, or is he...
I don't know if he's right in there, but like around the rim and stuff.
Yeah.
But I think there's so much that just hasn't been, hit.
In your opinion, sorry to cut you off there.
Oh yeah.
Do you know why? Can you think of why?
I have no idea. Yeah, I mean, the best time of year is in the winter when most of the other part of the country is cold. So
their bikes are stored up.
It's a great place to come. So I don't know. I don't know if it's just because in the summer when you're on vacation it's too hot or what. But yeah, there's so much good stuff here that I feel like hasn't been touched.
Right. Do you think it's a good thing that it's...
Sometimes, yeah. I don't mind being on the trail by myself every now and then, you know. But
yeah, I agree.
It's awesome seeing more and more people, like families, and this has become a thing. So yeah, and maybe it's got more attention than we think, and we just have so much riding that it's spread out, and you don't notice as much. I don't know.
Yeah. Some other states might only have like a corner of the state that's like really, really good, and that's where everyone goes. And so it's, I get it. Yeah, I'm with you. I agree. I think sometimes I would like more people to say, oh yeah, Arizona, it's like on top of my bucket list.
Right, yeah, I'm going there.
And then I don't want people to say the same thing. So, it's definitely a 6 of one, half dozen of the other type of question.
Yeah.
And sorry if I led you into any of those questions, because I got all the answers that I agreed with, which
well, that's what
but
we
I
want,
wasn't
right?
necessarily.
Yeah, we're all about that.
But no, it is. I think we've got a gem here, and we've got these little pockets all around that are just fantastic to hit, and they're just not really well known that far away. I mean, you could drive, and I'm sure, and I've never ridden in California. I'm sure there's great stuff up there. I'm sure there's great stuff. I mean, I know there's a few parks, and obviously there's going to be a ton of trails. But I'm sure there's some really, really great epic rides and views for miles and that that kind of thing when you want the whole thing. But just 6 hours east is this little drier pocket, a little warmer pocket.
Well, and you get so much different variety here, right? Like you get,
because you could do Sedona one day, South Mountain, and the Pinal Mountains, like in a whole 3-day weekend.
Yeah, you could totally do that, right? And like South Mountain, you're going to get the red rock, the slick rock, more feel. Here, you're going to get loose over hard pack.
Yep.
And then you get down to Pinal, it'll be Pima or wherever Mount Lemmon County it's in. It'll be rocky. So totally different.
Yep.
Even from west side of the valley to the east side's different.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, South Mountain even. I mean, west side. I mean, you have two different, not territories, but two different regions almost when you're riding down the mountain.
Haas is totally different than South Mountain,
and
they're 40 minutes apart.
Right. Yeah. So. Exactly. No. Well, that's it then. I guess we'll end there. Come to Arizona, but don't come to Arizona.
Right. Yeah, we want you to come, but not really.
Right. So make up your own mind, I guess, on that one. Thank you for coming in.
Absolutely. It's such a pleasure.
This was good. Tell us again, so when do you start your races start in January?
Races start in January. Registration opens on the 15th of October.
Okay.
And then practices will start probably beginning of November, somewhere in there, depending on the teams and coaches. Yep. So, yeah, we're almost right there to kick off our second season here.
Perfect. Well, I wish you all the luck in the season.
Thank you.
I know I'll see you, I'm sure, at a few races.
Sure. Yep.
I want to get out to more this year than I did last year, and I definitely want to get down to Tucson because I keep seeing pictures of that venue, and I think
it's so much fun.
I think it just looks like an amazing time.
Yeah.
Just even as a spectator.
Yeah.
I think it would just be fun to come down and watch the races. So thanks again for coming out.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Aravaipa Rides podcast. We have weekly rides at South Mountain, since we've talked about it already enough. Every Monday, 6:30 p.m. we meet at the Pima Trailhead. So come on out. We do about a 60 to 90 minute ride. It's fun, no drop, all fun. Yeah.
Awesome.
Thanks again. We'll see you next time.